I don't think I do it.
But Arsenal started like a house on fire. Signing number 2 for this new era. It's Judgment Day, people. Yeah! What did your boy tell you? It was never in doubt. Never in doubt. Don't believe in any luck, I believe I'm self-made, yeah. Now then, people, and welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show and another episode of The Final Word. And I believe it's the first time we've done one of these when we've actually won a Premier League game. Well, it must be. Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. So if that's not enough to warrant a like, then I don't know what is. Please do smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, hit the notification bell. What I also want you to do as well is go into the description and make sure you follow all of these lovely channels as well, which is Max at Leeds Lately, Joe at the Leeds United View. We've got Chris at All Leeds TV. We also have Rocco at Leeds That, and we also have Luke at Ought to Know Better who are with us, but we are welcoming a very good substitute, I would say, in a pretty new YouTube channel, Leeds United. Well, Leeds Birds Rants, isn't it, Kate? With a C, yeah. Welcome and thank you for agreeing to come on. Do you want to tell everyone who doesn't know who you are, what you're about?
Yeah, thanks for that. Well, I'm a lifelong Leeds supporter. I actually got into Leeds when I was about 7 because my first ever boyfriend. That's how I came to. It was a long time ago, too long ago for me to remember. But that's how I got into it. I'm actually sort of from around the Borough area, so it's sort of mixed bag up there. But yeah, so I decided that I was sick of doing social media for like work and things like that. So I thought I'd just start a channel up talking about what I love to talk about, which is Leeds. Although it hasn't been too much fun recently, but I've had a great time doing the channel and got some really positive reactions and a few people telling me where I could improve, of course, which I welcome all the time. But yeah, it's been great. Love it.
No, great. And thank you very much for agreeing to come on, and make sure you go over and share and show some love to Kate's channel. We don't have enough female Leeds YouTubers, I don't think. Obviously, there's Tash on All Leeds TV, and really that's about it. So it's great to see females, and that's why I wanted to welcome
Thanks,
you
Joe.
on, because yeah, it's different of opinions and stuff.
Especially
So, and did you say Borough?
Game 2 weekend as well, isn't it?
What did? Oh, her game too.
Weekend.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good chat. I didn't realize that, mate. But yeah.
What was that? Sorry.
Did you say you're from Borough?
Yeah, I'm from that area. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. I used to live in Stockton. I mean, yeah.
Well, I'm from Yarm, actually.
Oh, well, there you go. Then.
Oh my God, my best mate used to own a pub in Yarm, the Eagle.
No way.
Yeah.
I've been to England once.
God. I was actually born a Magpie, to be honest with you. So I'm originally from Toon area, but yeah.
They're crying into their cornflakes today.
Brown ales tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Right, let's get stuck into it. There's over 400 people watching, so big up for that. So please do smash a like on the video. And Joe, we'll come to you first, mate, because I've seen you've been getting a bit of flack for being a negative Leeds fan on social media.
I know, right?
At least you can be positive after a win, mate. How are you feeling?
Is this like a paradox world that we're in, that when Leeds were doing badly, I was being called a happy clapper, and as soon as we win a game, I'm a negative person because I don't like seeing a director of football flopping around the director's box drunk. Yeah.
Was he drunk?
He's all over the place. He's falling back into his chair and someone pushed him.
I think it was more than drink. I'd say, but that's for another day.
I was saying to Jess downstairs yesterday watching the game, Parag is sitting beside Victor and not Rads, and he's on his best behavior. There's not a peep out of him. Like, and everything the camera cut was like, please don't do something stupid. Please don't do something stupid. And then right at the end of the game, there he is. Leeds saluting his shoulder, and you're like, come on, man, be better.
Leeds saluting the guy next to him.
Yeah, just a bloke over here getting it off. Yeah, I just want us to look better. I think he embarrasses at times when he shouldn't. In the game, I'm really happy. I thought we saw significant progress in one game. I loved Avi's press comments where he said, I've only been working with them for one day.
Yeah.
Have you though? I thought it was great. I thought we looked way more organised. I've had a couple of disagreements with people about Brendan Aronson. I thought first 25 minutes, I thought he was excellent. I thought he looked back to what we saw at the start of the season. He kind of got bullied out of a bit in the second half, fair enough. But in the first half, he was very good. But I thought there was a huge amount of positive. I think Garcia will learn a huge amount about the players from that game. Jackie especially thought he had a typical poor game on the right-hand side. Second half, he was much better. I thought the changes that were made were bold. They were, because I thought Willie was having a decent enough game and he was still probably our best outlet during the game. And to take him off with half an hour to go, I thought, that's a ballsy move right there. That could backfire. But what he did was very clever. When he brought Somerville on, he switched the two lads from the wingers. And for the entire game, we were playing with inverted wingers coming inside the fullbacks. And then all of a sudden he flips it where they're going outside the fullbacks and back to orthodox wingers. And that changed our attack completely. And I thought it worked. It worked brilliant. I'll put my hand up. I've given Junior Firpo a ton of stick for the last 3 years. Merited, I think, up until the last couple of games. But I think having a system where he's not being told to constantly bomb forward has helped him. I thought he looked way better in the last couple of games, and I thought he was excellent yesterday. It was nice to see one fullback attacking and one staying home and not both going and overcommitting. Same with two lads in midfield, Adams and McKennie. I thought you saw one attack and one would stay and keep the back four protected. I think one of the stats that stood out the most about the game was Junior Firpo had 2 tackles to make in the entire game, which tells you the back four was protected for most of the game. I think Southampton's best shot on target was Somerville trying to take Mellier's head off.
What was Meslier doing with that header? Like, the ball, man.
I don't, in that split second, given the referee that we had as well, I think he just went, I'm not even going to gamble. I just think it was instinctive, it bounced and he just threw his head at it. But I think we all had a big heart and mouth moment at that point going, this is where they score, isn't it? This is the one they're going to score from. So, but I thought that was good. You know, Ayling better in the second half than he was in the first. Sloppy passes in the first half, but got better in the second half again. And I just think there's a lot more structure to how we played. The width was good, but it wasn't always wide. Sometimes it was narrow, sometimes it was wide. It was nice. You know, he changed it up regularly enough. So yeah, there's a lot to be positive about. I liked the comment about we've only had 1 day to work and we got that result. It's gonna be much better after a week's work. You know, so yeah, look, really happy. But as the saying goes, one sparrow or one swallow doesn't make a spring. So need to bounce on and get a performance against them in the next game. So look, I'm very happy with it. Very happy with it. And all the results went our way as well, which is great.
It was. Just on that as well, I assume you will have all seen this on LUFC data. Just look at how much width we played with at times as well. I've just realised I've covered Chris's face and I was going to come to him next as well. But Chris, it is nice though, isn't it? Just to see us play with, I'll just remove this so we can see you. Thanks, with a resemblance of a tactical plan. And like Joe said, actually changing things up mid-game, you know, like it was refreshing, mate, to see. He had a clue.
Yeah, big time. You can see there's a plan in place, and you know, you actually sort of ruined my buzzword then that I was going to start with, which was it was nice to see width, but you've ruined it with your little LUFC data pop up, whatever. But even from, I think I heard, I might have been on Connor's post match with Brownie. They mentioned about even from kickoffs, the fullbacks and the wingers stood out on the touchlines, making the pitch wide. McKennie being able to then get a bit more time on the ball in the middle. Aronson, strangely enough, looks better when the play stretched, so he's got that bit more time to play be on the ball. I think we're missing a Mark Rocker. I really do now. I think he would absolutely pop in this kind of tactical setup because he'll have that bit of time on the ball and we know he's got a pass on him. I wouldn't mind seeing Mark Rocker in at 10. I really wouldn't. I think he's got that ability about him passing the ball, etc. But very pleased yesterday. I think what I noticed was the odd time that Southampton did go down our wings is centre backs, instead of one rushing out to go and help the fullback, they'd stay narrow and in the centre of the box and defend the box, and it'd be Tyler or McKennie that would go out and help the fullback. And it just made us look so much more solid. And you can just tell we've got a manager who's got a plan. He's also willing to take a risk. Who's also willing to change tactics if we need to do something different. And yes, it's one game and we need to be calm and composed about it. But from that, his one training session that he's had, very positive, mate. you know, it looks a lot brighter, doesn't it, than it did, you know, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago.
Yeah, that's true. You know, we've won a game of football, and one of the things that, Max, I'll come to you because it was quite funny that even after a win, I had Jesse fans in my comments trying to tell me that it was exactly the same, and I just can't help but laugh because yesterday, again to shout out Chris at LUFC data, Leeds' pass accuracy was 85.2%, which was more than any single game under Jesse's tenure after just one game. And I was like, yeah, this is it. We're going to get better and better, Max.
Yeah, it's as though he's just said, it's ironic because when Jesse came in, he said, we need to take things from 100 down to 70. And what he did was made the players panic even more on the ball. And we talked about this, and we had that comment in the chat. Somebody said, anxiety FC, because people were just like, get the ball to him as fast as possible. And we were just giving it away all the time. And what we had was a solid base of midfield in McKennie and Adams, who were just ready to receive the ball and then spread it out the other side and just play with a bit of patience. We weren't like, sometimes we were like, okay, we've got a chance to counterattack, we'll counterattack. But that wasn't the entire plan. We also get the ball down at feet, play it around, look for opportunities. You get Nonto holding the ball up on the wing, waiting for Firpo to overlap him. Firpo overlap him. And we're putting crosses in the box as well, which I thought was something that we just didn't do under Jesse Marsh. Jesse Marsh loved a low cross from quite a narrow position to the near post. But what we saw was that even when we were overlapping or the wingers would go themselves, we were able to actually get crosses into the box. And we've not got, I talked about this in the tactics video I did, we've not got the best players in the world in the air, but what we do have now is more players up front, as in we're playing with like 2 in the attack or 1 behind in the attack, but he will get up there and support. Bamford's good at knockdowns. He's not necessarily the best aerial threat for scoring goals, but he's good at knockdowns. You saw the amount of times the ball was bobbling around in the box and we just needed somebody to get a finish on that. But that's by design. That's not just scrappy. It's so that when the ball comes into the box, if somebody like Bamford is there, he's tall, he is quite strong for his sort of stature, and he's able to bring the ball down. And we had quite a few shots where or chances to shoot where it was bobbling around in the box. But yeah, like I say, that was more by design. So it just looked like we had more of an idea of how to create goals. And people have also been trying to be a little bit negative, saying, oh, well, we're still a terrible performance, somebody in my comments. But I thought, well, he's had like officially 1 day.
I don't even think it was that bad, mate.
No, but realistically, I think if we play like that against anybody but Southampton, we might have more issues.
I disagree. But Southampton had nothing.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean, though. They had nothing, but you can see where the improvements are going to come from. You can see a way forward. He's only had a couple of days, and he's done that already and got us a win. He did exactly what he needed to do. And also, somebody mentioned before, the substitutes. That's something that we've not had. Jesse Marsh did not know how to make a substitute to change a game. I hate to go to scum for this, but Ten Hag is a master of substitutions. Every time he makes a substitution, it changes the game. And when we were 2-0 up against them, he made some substitutions, they come back and draw 2-2. But Javi Gracia, like Jer said, when he made those substitutions, they actually changed the game. And they confused Southampton. They didn't know whether they were coming or going because we were going inside, then we were going outside. And already he's had a few days and already it just looks so much better, and there's just a way forward that you can see clearly.
Yeah, for sure. Just one thing Max mentioned, Kate, was balls into the box, and one thing that really, really frustrated me yesterday, I think we ended up with about 6 or 7 corners, and not really any of them were any decent. Because I flipped it on its head and thought, if James Ward-Prowse had 6 or 7 goals at it, Southampton would have scored from one of them. So we really need to fix up in that area, I think. Yeah,
I mean, the short corners were just weren't working. And, you know, when the balls got into the box, I mean, it was like, I mean, for me, it was scrappy. For me, it was just like scrappy. It was like, and Bamford, I'm not a big fan at all. What was it? Max just said it was by design that it looked scrappy, but it looked very scrappy in the box to me yesterday. And I thought, those corners they need sorting out for sure.
Yeah, I think I don't know what it is like for anyone on the panel, right? Who would you have taken the corners? Because for me,
not Jack Harrison,
not Aronson either. I don't think
that has to stop. I mean, Harrison again. Yes,
Sam Greenwood, NFL style.
I heard Square Ball make an argument for bringing Sam Greenwood back in as a 10. Which was his natural position in the 21s. And now he's got a bit of Premier League experience under his belt. Maybe you could transition him back in. And then you've got a set piece person that can look after that. But I mean, in the first half, 5 corners, 4 failed to beat the first man, 4 from Jack Harrison, 1 from Willie Gnonto on the far side. And they went short that one. How many managers are we going to go through before they realize Jack Harrison can't take a corner and struggles to cross the ball full stop? If it's on the deck, great, no problem to him. He can pass it. He's a lovely passer of the ball, but his crossing is his weakness, and unfortunately, he's a winger, and it's an important part. The other side to it is Pat Bamford's head appears to be made out of sponges. He had a chance in 4 minutes into the game to put his head on the ball, and I just brushed past him like his face wasn't there. Like, all they had to do was hit you, and it went in. And you managed to get your face out of the way of the ball, but still kind of make connection with it and not change the flight of the ball in any way. I hate bashing Pat because I know there's a player in there. We've seen it. We've had 2 years. We know.
Yeah, but is there a Premier League player in there?
I mean,
know. You know what I mean?
Really,
at this level?
I think when there's no pressure on him, yeah. I mean pressure from the fans, because the year's best season had been no one in the stadiums, and he did great. He's definitely a striker who needs competition from the bench. I don't think Rutter's competition necessarily just yet. I think there was much better signs from Rutter yesterday. I thought he looked starting to settle in a bit. But when Rodrigo's on the bench, Bamford plays better because he has that. I have to play well, or else I'm going to take that. But that's part of the issue as well. Maybe it's with Jackie. What's the point of putting it in? You know what's the point of trying to put it in high? We're not going to win the headers. Maybe go try and drill it low over the first man. But he never beats the first man. I think there is an argument for looking at maybe Greenwood coming back in that situation, because he's the only set piece taker we have. We haven't even around the edge of the box. We don't have a free kick taker. Bar Max Vober. He's a centre back taking free kicks.
Yeah, and Greenwood's actual direct free kicks are terrible. His corners are good, and his crossing is good, but the Greenwood, every time it's just into the crowd. But
I think that's on numbers, Max. If you look at him when he played for the under-21s, he was a consistent main player in that team, and he would get 4 or 5 of them in the game, and he'd score 1, and you'd see the highlights of the ball going in the back of the net, and you'd be like, great, he's good at these. With the first team, he's only getting maybe 1 chance, and he has to score that 1, or else he's judged on that 1 where they do still need to have a couple, different ranges in that. But you saw the goal he scored earlier on this season. There's no doubt that the guy can pick a corner, and maybe he can pick a pass as well, because there is a lack of creativity in the final third about trying to, when it is. What was great yesterday was we weren't going to break them down with a killer pass, so we had to keep going left to right and just stretch the play, and we kept on doing it and wait for your chance to come. If you've got a 10 who's creative, you can bypass that and nick it in and try and get chances. But I think we're lacking that. I think Sam's probably the closest we have. Not perfect, but the closest we have to it.
I think Sam shouldn't be anywhere near that first team in the Premier League, personally. Yeah, not anywhere near it, do you? Yeah, I'm not too sure.
I think sometimes, like, for example, let's pretend that Ward-Prowse isn't a decent, serviceable midfielder anyway. He probably still would get in the team because of his set pieces. Yeah. But I don't think Greenwood is at that level where you could afford to sacrifice one of your other attacking players to have him as a free kick and set piece taker, because I don't think he's good enough to warrant the sacrifice. I think he's good, and I think he's definitely an option off the bench, and I do like him. I think he's improving all the time. But at the moment, I don't think we can really sacrifice. Surely in our other players in the starting 11, we've got somebody that can take a bloody corner. Like we just, it's as if we just stop trying people. Like, I don't know, who else can we try? Get Melee on them.
Fullback, maybe Ayling. Ayling's a decent cross for a ball in play. Maybe put Ayling, but then you lose his height for attacking the ball then. So it's
Firpo, we can do anything.
Yeah, exactly. Firpo or Carlos.
Can I just make a point, Joe? And I think it was last week's show, I said to you, as soon as somebody does something who hasn't done it in a while, there'll be all these people on Twitter saying, where's all the Cooper haters? Where's all the Bamford haters? Junior Firpo, there's an apology letter going around that people had signed. And apparently the reasons why we were on his back was either racially motivated, he was a Victor Orta signing, or we just didn't like him. They were the three. They're 3 of the reasons. None of it is played piss poor till this point. That option's not there. You judge players on merit, though, don't you? I mean, Firpo was judged on his merit up until this point. And up until this point, he hasn't been good enough. And now, better managers, maybe more organized, structured managers, he's coming into his own. And even Bill looked better yesterday, in as well. And we just all around looked like a safer defensive unit. You didn't see Firpo overlapping. Who was on the left at the end of the game? Harrison. You didn't see Firpo overlapping Harrison in the last 10 minutes of that game. I'm talking about after the goal, before the goal. He barely went forward in the second half. He stayed in his half. Only when there was space and when we the whole team had squeezed up high, then he was nipping up a bit. But outside of that, they were pretty much, we had a back four pretty much for the entire game.
Yeah. No, I agree. It was good. And you are right on Firpo. I mean, you know me, I'm a bit of a passion merchant. So as soon as anyone does something good, I'm like, yeah, this is the best thing since sliced bread. And then I'll be here. I mean, look, I was quick to write Rutter off. I said write him off. I wasn't writing him off, but I was saying, I don't think he can run, let alone play football. And then Chris yesterday, best cameo. It was only 15 minutes, weren't it?
Yeah, no. And do you know what, mate? A couple of points from me, and one of them is about Rutter and Firpo, is actually their comments that they made after the game are very telling, where Junior obviously went into the tactics and that Javi wants to play with more width and more control. And then Rutter spoke about coming onto the pitch and said, the manager was very clear from what he wanted from him. Whereas I'm pretty sure Jesse used to smack him on the arse and go, run around a lot. And that's all he do.
Wasn't Jesse big on clarity? Wasn't that one of his buzzwords? Clarity in the moment.
Yeah.
And...
So I think he was. I think those two comments are really telling, and I think Rutter looked. We can see what we've paid for now. It's still raw, of course. It's still going to take him time to get up to speed and all the rest of it, but you can at least see what. I love the way when it's coming off and he's doing stuff. His running style's magnificent. I absolutely love it. It's like Bambi on ice, man. It's awesome.
You're so right.
It's a huge, big long stride, isn't it? Though it's a big, huge.
Yeah, it is.
Lumbering,
but he eats the ground up, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Whereas Bamford looks like he's running on the spot.
I'm not going anywhere. The legs are going. We do.
It's mental, but the player I want to shout out, and it's from the last since he came in, is Max Vober. Not only is he a bit of quality, but I think the reason we've seen a pickup in Junior Firpo and Robin Koch as well is we've got Max Vober stood in between them, because my God, does he lead that back line? And yesterday, if you watch him off the ball, he's constantly dragging Junior around, telling him where to be, what to do. And I think he's been, definitely the best signing of in January, and one of the top signings. Of course, he'll go under the radar a bit because he's a defender, but I think proper Leeds fans who watch us week in, week out, and you see a lot of love for him online. I think he's been absolutely magnificent. And I think the other thing I noticed yesterday, we've been talking about James Ward-Prowse, is we know he's an absolute, if a free kick to James Ward-Prowse is like anyone else having a penalty, right? Our discipline yesterday was absolutely on point. No flying into challenges around the box, just stand them up, push them away from goal.
It's usually Firpo that makes those mistakes. He didn't do it. He didn't do it. He had no yellow card. Didn't give away any of those stupid free kicks. That's always what we had to go at him for, was don't give away stupid free kicks. Let them get balls into the box. He didn't do that. He was disciplined. He was strong. He knew exactly what he had to do in that game, and he did it brilliantly.
Yeah, it's like the system set up for him to not be left in isolated where he has to make rash challenges. Do you know what I mean? That's what I think that's what we've got from Javi.
More often than not, mate. If you saw Firpo tracking back, the player who's absolutely breaking his neck to get in behind Firpo and helping is Tyler Adams. He was absolutely everywhere yesterday. Just give him that bit of cover where then Firpo can just stand him up, doesn't have to go flying in, because he knows he's got Tyler behind him. If he does get beat, and Tyler will go and snap him off anyway. So just control, mate. It's so nice to see.
Yeah, for sure. Kate, just on that centre-back partnership, it was only a couple of weeks ago I was saying I don't know what everyone sees in Koch. That's sorry. Do you know what it is? I've never spoken to a female with his name, and it just straight away it dawned on me. I was like, I'm speaking to a female here, and I've just said that. But sorry. But basically, I wasn't too enamored with him, and then we've seen Vober come in, and genuinely that partnership looks really, really solid, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the way those two guys, work together, the way, I mean, he basically has. I'm all nervous now. I want to hear Joe. To be honest with you, those two working together, at the back. I mean, Verba has been like amazing since he's come in. There's a lot more organisation at the back, I think, and that's
yeah. That's cool. That's cool. And I think it is, him, like Chris said about his leadership skills and stuff, he's really fantastic. There was a video doing the rounds of him down the tunnel after the game where he went,
I saw
fucking
that.
Leeds. I was like, yes, we'll have a bit of that. We'll have a bit of that. Joe, we touched on the midfield and a lot's been said about McKennie and Adams. But passing is not their forte. And as a fan watching the game, they were, especially in that first half, McKennie nicks the ball off Bednarak, who's woeful, by the way. We get round him, and there's a simple pass for Aronson. And I think if he plays Aronson in, it's 1-0.
Yeah, it's 1-0. Yeah.
And the ball's behind him. And there's just too much of that from that midfield pairing. I think them two, over the course of a season, yes, combative, use them away at Chelsea, etc. But when the onus is on us, we need someone like Rocker in there. And I don't know how you fit him in, if you do fit him in the 10, because for me, they struggle to move the ball, man.
I think what you're looking at there is, I mean, Rock is probably the more creative in terms of he's more forward passes in a game than any other midfielder that we have. But don't forget, Mark Rocket is still a central defensive midfielder by trade. He's a CDM, he's a 6. So is Adams. Essentially, so is McKennie. So you've kind of got 3 midfielders there that are defensive by nature. I agree completely with what Chris said. I do think Rocket in a more advanced role. I really wanted to see him come in there yesterday earlier than he did, because I thought he would definitely add something going forward. I think, and again, just going to steal all of Chris's points here, Chris, if that's all right, mate. The space was there for those kind of, arced balls into the channels from the centre of the park, and I think you would have got that from Rocket. But what I won't knock the other two, because outside of passing, which is not the only thing they need to do in a game, their shape was excellent. They covered the back 4. There was minimal chances. There was minimal. You talked about the free kick, not giving free kicks away on the edge of the box. They didn't get close to the edge of the box because there was a screen. Use basketball terminology for this. They screened the back 4 perfectly. They never got in behind them, And when it looked like the system would change in the second half and they'd go more direct, Leeds changed it, and then they couldn't go more direct and bypass the press. We weren't doing it. First 10 minutes of the second half, we didn't press at all. We just sat deep. We just let them have the ball, and they're fundamentally important to that. They hold the shape, and we have to go left. They bring it left, and we have to go right. The block moves right. They're organizing that really well. I thought we saw something from Tyler Adams that I actually, first time this season, I thought maybe Calvin Phillips could come back at some point. Maybe there is a role in the team, because Tyler Adams was dropping in between the centre backs to get the ball and starting moves off there, which we haven't seen him doing this year. It's always been the back 2 coming out with the ball to the halfway line and trying to start moves from there, which has caused us problems. I thought Adams did a great job at that. His 5-yard passing in around his own half is fine, but it's when you're looking for that more expansive pass and attack and stuff, it does let him down. But we've been a poor passing side all season. Our passing stats have been dreadful. Even under Scubal, I think the Everton game was horrendous to watch in terms of passing. We couldn't get out of our own half in the last 15 minutes of the game with passes. So there were improvements yesterday. There'd be more improvements needed. We are lacking a creative midfielder, and we have been lacking it since Pablo left. And, then the problem with that is they're not 10 a penny. They're very hard to find. And when they're good, the good teams usually have them. So it's a catch-22. We do need somebody who can create stuff. Maybe it's Rocket. I would like to see us go with a 4-3-3 at some point. I really want to see the 3 of them together in the middle of the park. I don't think we will under Gracia. I think he'll keep us more structured and use lads off the bench. But we don't know where McKennie's going to be at the end of the season, because we don't know where we're going to be at the end of the season. There could be a situation where we look at bringing another midfielder in the summer, someone more creative. But again, they're hard to find. So it's tricky. We have to make do what we have. As long as they keep it simple, pass the ball to the fullbacks and let them push us up the pitch, we could be okay. But it has to be simple pass. And if we're looking for long passes forward, we're not going to get it from those two. McKennie in tight areas on the edge of the box. And it was a lovely move with him and Rutter at one point where Rutter nearly got a penalty show, which was beautiful. The little back flick. That stuff McKennie's very good at, but higher up the pitch. But again, it's short passes, not these big, longer kind of range passes.
Yeah. Let me, yeah. No, thank you very much for that, Joe. And as we started to speak about McKennie, I've seen an influx of American accounts telling everyone that you need to give him time, or you're writing him off, you're doing this, you're doing that. Let me just categorically say now, I have nothing against the United States of America, okay? I have nothing against American players. You are allowed to be critical of certain players. Now, someone's mentioned these 91% pass accuracy. That still doesn't mean he's been progressing the ball well, right? That's all I was saying. And I was just being critical of that side of it. Like, please do not take this as me being anti-American. It's so frustrating. I understand you love the American players. I love them also, but we are going to critique them at time. That doesn't mean that we are.
He was a lot of sloppy passing yesterday, I thought, from him. A lot of sloppy passing. Do you know what I mean? Unnecessarily so, and some long balls as well yesterday that were just like not, just not accurate enough.
No,
if it's not in your locker, don't do it. Is what it should be. If you can't do a long range pass, don't do it. Don't.
Do you know what frustrated me is? For me, he should never be passing that ball to Aronson. Use Aronson as the decoy that's keeping.
Why didn't you just keep going? You're in on goal. You're 1v1 with the keeper. Just keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a more confident McKennie, or if we'd had a couple of wins under our belt while he'd been playing for us, I think he just puts his left foot through that and probably drills it into the top bins. But
he is coming out of a league that's played at a much slower pace and a much more defensively organized league. The Italian league is slow. It's defensive. You don't get huge scores in their games on average. So trying to adapt to a much more expansive, fast-paced, higher quality division as well. And that does take time. I don't think he's let himself down. I think there's been moments in the game where he's not been great. There's been moments in the game where he's been brilliant. But we've an entire team who are guilty of that. Luke Ayling twice in the first half passed the ball infield to nobody. And we nearly got caught on counters. So everyone's guilty of it at times. But you're changing a style, you're changing a system, and you're changing an ethos of how you want to play football. And you're doing it in a week. And they've already had a change from Jesse's system into what Scubala was trying to do and the few little tweaks he was doing. And now you're changing it again a week later into what Gracia wants. That's a lot of changes in a couple of weeks. And it takes player. Like twice when Ayling did it, I just thought, I'm assuming he thinks somebody's going to come up on the inside and that he's done it without even looking. It's a reflex. And under this system, that's not happening. The centre halves are not underlapping the fullbacks, which is a good thing. So I think it's down to that. But I think I would rather have McKennie around the edge of the box passing the ball than coming out of our own half passing the ball.
I do think that those two are actually almost in the perfect mold for what Gracia wants from his midfielders. When he was at Watford, he had Etienne Capoue and Decore in there. And Etienne Capoue is more of that sort of destroyer midfielder, and Decore, as you saw against Everton, even though we were playing terribly and they were playing terribly, he drives with the ball. He gets that ball and he drives his team up the pitch, Decore. And I think, like Joe said there, when McKennie can just carry on going, or it might have been Chris as well, said that McKennie can just carry on going sometimes. And Adams has been so good because he knows what his strengths are. He knows that he's not a long passer. What he's done is he gets the ball, he wins it back quickly, and he just 5-yard pass into somebody who's more creative than him. And that's usually Mark Rocker sat next to him, who's got a bit more of a ping on him, who can play out to wide areas. And I think one of the issues that we're going to have at first is that Tyler Adams is going to look up and see only Weston McKennie next to him. And so either one of them have then got to try and play those passes into wide positions, or so they think they have. So at first they're going to be like, well, we're not really capable of that. So you may see, somebody said before, you might see McKennie and Adams in against Chelsea because you need somebody to combat that midfield and somebody to really be strong in there. Against other teams where you may be playing against a low block and you want to break people down, it might be that Rocker comes in and you give the ball to him. I think it's always going to be Adams in there no matter what. I don't think it's going to be McKennie and Rocker, and if everybody's fit. Potentially, but I just think Adams is so good as a destroyer that he gets that ball back, gives it into Rocker, and Rocker finds those positions. And McKennie maybe just thought it was his responsibility to try and get it out to those wide areas today. But it does help when somebody like Nonto comes short or the other winger comes short, and then you have overlaps. And we saw that with Junior Firpo getting quite a few crosses into the box. So we didn't necessarily always need to play that long pass. But yeah, like Joe said, with Jesse Marsh as well, nobody criticised him because he was American. We criticised him because he wasn't doing very well for our football club.
Yeah.
When we criticise a player, it doesn't matter what his nationality, anything. If they're doing bad,
it doesn't stand up anyway, Max, does it? The whole argument, because pretty much I think everyone this season would probably say Tyler Adams is, if not our best player this season, he's up there in the top 3 players. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
just look at this though, as we were speaking. Leeds United tweeted this out. I was like, bloody hell, they must be watching and thinking Joe's chatting shit.
Joe, zoom out on that a little bit, right? And look at the arrows, not the dots. Look at the distance. Especially the corners. They're all 5-6 yard passes. They're all in compact areas. You know, it's the ones that are, and then if you look at the deeper ones, there's a couple of longer kind of balls in there.
Yeah.
They're the mistakes. They're the ones that drop them down to 91%. Imagine what he'd be doing if you could actually make them as well. And a lot of them are sideways or slightly forward and backwards in the area that he's in. There's very few that are going from a centre midfield area into the box, you know, or trying to split the defence. So, you know, it's in context as well. It's the passes he makes. He's very good in tight spaces when he's got players around him. There's no issue there.
No.
That's what we were saying as well.
Yeah.
About getting out of the wings.
Going back to earlier is, when you've got width, you can allow your midfielders to play those short 5-10 yard passes, because then give it to the other one and there's an out ball, whether it's your full back bombing on or, you know, like Max said, Nonto coming in or Cine or whoever it is on the other side at the time. You don't need your 2 deep sitting midfielders playing absolute worldy long balls. Although Tyler Adams hit one yesterday to Jack Harrison, which was about 40-50 yards and landed right on Jack's absolute pillow of the left foot. And it was a great first touch. As soon as he did that, I was like, we're winning this today, because Jack's first touch is that.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Let me get some super chats in now. And whilst I'm doing that, folks, make sure you smash a like and subscribe to everyone's channel. A lot of love for Kate tonight as well. So make sure you go on over and check that out.
I don't know. I think I need to do a bit more homework, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? I'm sitting here.
Don't worry about it. I'm pure Vibes FC. I'm Vibes FC. I'll leave the 2 lads on the bottom to do the tactical analysis.
Yeah, exactly.
I love a bit of vibes football, but I only like it when we're winning.
Don't ask me about defence, midfield or strikers. Yeah, but not that.
No, it's fine. You're doing great. You've been called Leeds United's own Nigella Lawson.
That's what called me the other day.
Love that. Thank you, Mick.
I'll dress up next time.
We all wear a Sunday best hair, Kate.
Yes, exactly. Toby Ward says, I've seen McKennie get some flack any reason why. We just covered all that. It's probably, do you know what? It probably might just be that one pass that he should have made. And I'm looking at it as an
because he's American.
Because he's American, yeah. Question for you, Kate. Do you think Dallas can get back into this side?
I don't see why not. I think, you know, on past form, there's no reason why not. How long has it been out now?
Oh, closing on a year.
Yeah, nearly a year.
It was
getting close. He was supposed to miss the entire season.
It was Man City, wasn't it?
Yeah, Man City near the back end of the season. He was on a couple of the season's moved, so it's weird now.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to see him back, I think, but you know.
Yeah. You don't know. I know I'm the same. Like, I guess he's the ultimate utility player, right, Chris? We can use him as our Jimmy Milner, if you like. Sorry, I know you're eating.
It's all right, mate. It's stuck in my throat now because I swallowed it quickly when I heard my name, but whatever. He is, mate, for me, when he comes back, he's the perfect bench player, or if someone's out injured, you can bring him in. You know, it's not like we've got a world of left backs still, even though we've now got Roberto Carlos there, left back. But, you know, he gives us options all around the pitch, doesn't he? So he'll be on the bench. It'll be nice to see him back. Hopefully the injury hasn't taken too much out of him, which is always a danger, especially at someone of sort of Stuart's latter years of playing football.
Yeah. And it has been so long as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was 30th of April, 2022. So a month shy of a year. But yeah, like you say, if he's back to his best, then
he's nowhere close though to being back to fitness either, is he? So it's probably going to be over.
He'll come back.
He's on the grass, but he's not training with the team.
Yeah.
So he is running, but he's not. He's been running for a bit. He's been running since
So he's
before
not
the World Cup
training.
break, but not with the players. Yeah, he's doing his own individual.
But yeah,
stuff.
but he could definitely work in that left back position, 100%.
100%.
Anyway, I mean, even coming in his energy in the middle of the park, if we need to burst forward, he has that. But you are saying it is 100% dependent on him coming back in the same condition he was before he went out, and that's a lot to ask. It's a bad injury, like a broken femur. We said it before on this. A broken femur is described as a car crash injury. It takes a car crash to break your femur. You know, don't know how he didn't break Jack Grealish when he kicked him to break his own femur, but it's you know, Dally flies and things anyway. It's the big calves, yeah.
Yeah, it's got good calves. I actually like Jack Grealish, you know. Yeah.
All right,
I can't say I like him. Sorry.
Pant?
No. Do you know what the mad thing is, right? My daughter's 9 and she's just all of a sudden into football. Like, I got football boots and that for Christmas. We're going to see the Leeds United ladies play Newcastle ladies next Sunday up here. And anyway, she loves TikTok and that. And she was like, "Oh, Dad, do you like this edit?" And it was like, "Won't you see me?" Like all these words coming up on the phone and that. I look in your eye and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, it's really nice." Then all of a sudden, Jack Grealish popped up. I went, "Maisie, what are you doing?" She went, "I've got a crush on him, Dad." I was like, "Oh, my God." It was rude. Yeah. I like him too. Yeah, exactly.
For regional issues, so I can never like him or Declan Rice.
Yes, I know. Matt's the same, a Tottenham fan who's also from Ireland. He hates them. Colin Kerwin, who again is also from Ireland with the super chat. Big up, Colin. Thanks for always supporting me. He says, "Yes, we won a game. Was great Irish support at the game, including myself. My Saka the board sign was taken off me. Come on, Leeds. We Saka the Potter next week."
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Go on then, Kate. How are you feeling about that Chelsea game? Do you think we can do the double over them?
Do you know what? I was thinking about this today. I actually think that, do you know, with their current run of form, I don't see why not. I mean, I would be really disappointed if we didn't come away with at least a draw from that game. I mean, the way they played against Chelsea today, Spurs today was absolutely appalling. You know what I mean? They're just all over the goddamn place. There's no reason why we can't. I don't think Graham Potter's got a handle on the team. I don't think they're performing for him. And if there's sort of any time that we can go in there and get something, it's going to be now, I think. I don't know how they're going to sort of line up in compared to Tuesday against Fulham. You know, I don't know how those two sort of lineups are going to differ.
Would you go strong in the FA Cup?
Oh, I don't know, because it's more important, isn't it, to stay up? But if Mitrovic isn't playing, perhaps I might not go as strong. But if he's playing, if he's fit and he's playing, then, or is he? Yeah, I heard someone say that he wasn't going to play on Tuesday. If he's kind of not, then I wouldn't.
Yeah, I think with Ober and Cockney should be able to sort Mitro out anyway. Plus, Fulham are going for Europe, so they might be like resting players. You know what I mean? What a difference a year makes. You know?
And Chelsea's got isn't it Dusseldorf or something after?
Yeah, Borussia Dortmund. Isn't it?
That's it. Yeah.
And they have to win.
Yeah, I know. I think as well, like with that, if Potter loses in the Champions League, like for me, he will get the boot, I think, potentially. Although there seems to be this weird rumor on Twitter that he's got something in his contract that says he can't be sacked before the season, but I just don't buy that. Like, why would they ever agree to that? Surely that's not true.
Was Todd Bowley there when Potter was signed?
No, he gave him the job. Yeah, he gave him the job. Yeah.
Yeah, so I believe it then. He's mental, isn't he, that fella? He's absolutely mental, that fella. So I wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, that's fair. What about you, Max? Do you go strong on Tuesday?
The thing is, it doesn't make that much of a difference, really, does it? Because we're playing on Tuesday and we've got a game on, when is it, Saturday or Sunday? Yeah. Saturday. So we've got plenty of days to recover. It's not that much different from playing on a Sunday and then playing on a Friday, which we've done plenty of times before. I think it's fair cause to go strong against Fulham. Especially now, if this was like the third round of the FA Cup and we hadn't really progressed at all. We're in the fifth round of the FA Cup. It's quarterfinals next, isn't it? If we win this, we've Like, just go for it. We could do a Wigan, get relegated, and get into Europe next season.
No, we don't want to get relegated.
But in all seriousness, I do think we've got enough to win that game, and putting somebody in like Rutter from the start, maybe giving him a bit more chance.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
he's a lot of money, but he's still sort of a backup option at the moment. So give him a chance, see what he could do. We've got plenty of attacking players. We've got Rocker as well, who's not fully fit yet. So maybe give him some time to get a bit more match fitness. We could definitely rotate things around, and you've got enough substitutes as well to rotate things around enough for us to not pick up any injuries, hopefully.
Would you, Joe, what about you? Would you start the likes of JB Greenwood perhaps, and then maybe sprinkle it with a McKennie and Adams, maybe mix it up a little bit, start Somerville, start Rutter, or do you just go strong?
Momentum's important as well to try and keep winning. Yeah. I wouldn't go too weak. I like JB. I think he's going to be a cracking player. I'm very concerned that we always get too hyped too early about our young players and demand them to be playing every week. Like when it goes wrong, it's put the kids in. And I just think it's an awful habit to get into. These kids need to develop properly. I think JB's going to be a cracking central midfield player. His passing range the other week for the under-21s was incredible. The ball they played in for Aronson when he scored was an excellent ball as well. I think you put one of them in. I don't think you put more than one of them in. I think you maybe put, if you're playing JB, you don't play Greenwood. If you're playing Greenwood, you don't play JB. I think you try and bring the lads that are on the bench outside of them in. I think Rutter starts. I think Rocket starts as well because they need games, come back from injury. Cooper could come back in, assuming he's okay. You could bring Cooper back in for a game. I would leave Vober in that team at all costs. I just don't think we can afford to take him out of it. Maybe Stroke comes back in. Maybe now it's weak. Now it's Cooper and Stroke, 9.5. I'm talking myself into a hole here. I would try and keep it as similar as it is to now, maybe 1 or 2. But I definitely would start Rutter. I think he needs a run from a starting point. But what you don't want to do is what we did with Gallagher last year. You put him in for the cup matches, but you take all the experienced players out around him. So then the creativity is gone. All the experienced players giving them the ball in or creating chances are all gone.
It has to be a mix, doesn't it? When you're talking about that midfield, it's not take both of them out and put JB and Greenwood in. It's put either Greenwood or JB in with one of those more experienced heads. And it gives those players a chance, because we saw against Cardiff, I know it's obviously a higher level of opposition against Fulham, but we saw against Cardiff, JB in the first 20, 25 minutes, half an hour, he did really, really well in there. So there's precedent for him to have a really good game in there next to somebody a little bit more experienced to give him that license to spray those passes around a bit. But like you say, it's important to not throw all the youth players in, much like what Jesse did against Wolves in the Carabao Cup. He threw, it was like a youth team. The entire team was taken out and put in youth players, and we lost that game. So you need to have a bit of a mix, and then you're not giving too much risk, and then you're actually being competitive in those games as well. So yeah, like Joe says, important to mix it up, not just have all youth players in.
Yeah, for sure. I've just had a look as well at Watford's run to the FA Cup final under Gracia, and they played Woking, Newcastle, Queen's Park Rangers, Palace and Wolves. So it wasn't like a really tough run either. So it'll be interesting to see, to see
it came from 2-0 down against Wolves to win 3-2 in that game though. So that was, I watched time. That. Yeah, I watched the highlights of that for my research the other day, and I was like,
oh, check you doing research and that. Go on, lad. Johnny says McKennie is not good deep. That's why UV was always pushed up high, wide to combine in around the box or get on headers. To be fair, remember when we signed him, he did have one of the best percentages in Europe's top 5 leagues for touches in the opposition box. So that's something to be wary of. Although, and again on his headers, if you looked at his highlight reel after leaving Juve, all his goals were headers. Because I was like, oh right, this guy can head the ball, and we've seen quite a lot of that yesterday in the middle of the park. Leeds Sayer, I'll ask you, Max. I can see a lot of would Llorente have worked in this system?
I think you need that stability, don't you? If you're building a team like this under a Javi Gracia system, you need to be able to build from the back. And whilst Llorente had his games where he was strong, I think he's past that point where he just he just makes those mistakes now, doesn't he? He does step overs in his own box. He just makes terrible mistakes, and I think it's too late for him at Leeds now. I just don't think he comes back in. We need to sign another right centre back to complement Verba and to push Koch for his position. So I think it's important that we actually get the money for Llorente. Hopefully, I don't know if anybody actually knows how he's been doing at Roma, how many games he's had or anything. I haven't seen anything or heard anything. Bench. I hope they think that that he's okay and that make it permanent. I couldn't see it.
You need to have good subs, and he does sitting down really well. So, there's that.
But also, to be fair, like you were saying before, Joe, you're making the point about the Italian league being a lot slower. Yeah, we've seen people like Chris Smalling. He wasn't doing very well at Man United at all. He went to Roma. He absolutely flourished because it's a slower league. He's able to get across side to side, like you were saying before, Joe, and sit in that position without having to have the ball too much and without having to have too many players running in behind him. So I think it's easier to be a centre-back in that league. Obviously, that league over the years has produced some of the best centre-backs of all time. But I think he would do a lot better there. I think the Premier League is a big tester for centre-backs, and Llorente is not up to that test anymore. So we need another one.
Definitely. And Siege says Vorber's been outstanding so far. What a signing. And I think, it's chalk and cheese between him and Llorente. Alex says amazing. And looking at the table is another win. Will move us up to 13th, depending on other results. Let's finish up with going round the houses. Look, I'm convinced now we stay up. I'm convinced. And I know it's only one game, but I've seen enough to think, do you know what? We're going to be all right.
Who are you? Who are you?
German. All it was that was holding me back was that daft American. I'm sorry. He was a clown.
I agree totally with that. Yeah, absolutely. Comparing.
I'm just not used to seeing you like this, so it's new to me. So I'm trying to figure it out.
I was always like this until he came into the football club, and he just ripped it all out of me. I think we're going to be all right. 538's got us finishing in 16th. Everton going down and Forest just between us and Everton. I think we're going to be all right. I think there's enough quality in the side. And I look at Javi Gracia's record against top teams at his other clubs, and he's always done pretty well. I think my good friend Oscar mentioned that they were one of the only sides to not be beaten against Barcelona when they had Messi, Suarez and Neymar. He kept them quiet, winning one and drawing another, which is no mean feat. Do you know what I mean? So I think we're going to have enough. And I think actually come the end of the season, we'll go, do you know what? If we'd have made that change earlier, we probably might have just pushed towards top 10. I think it's going to go that well. It is what it is. That's my thoughts. It might change if we get beat by Chelsea, but you know what I mean. I'm a fickle guy.
Can I just ask if we do stay up, do you think Gracia stays?
I would advocate it. Yeah, I don't think you can. I don't think
how we stay up.
Yeah, how we stay up.
I think if we stay up comfortably, you're like, well, yeah, you have to. But I think if it's skin of your teeth, same as last game of the season, then maybe you possibly look at changing it in the summer.
No, that's.
I think he deserves a crack at it, though. I don't like this flexible contract thing. And I don't like the rumors that came out during the week that apparently they're going to change the manager regardless of what happens at the end of the season to either get Slot or Areola in because they're their number one targets. I don't like that because if Gracia does a really good job here and progresses us forward, he should get another chance next season to progress us forward again. He's done a job with clubs that are lower half of the table clubs. Imagine what he could do with a club that's growing and pushing forward, And I think he deserves
especially when the new owners come in.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct. Yeah.
That's what I mean. We get rid of these charlatans. What about you, Kate? Would you give him the job if he keeps us up?
Yeah, sounds good, Joe. Really, I would if we stayed up sort of convincingly. I mean, I sort of think we're going to be around about 16th, and I could never actually see us going down. Like I know I was like, really crapping myself that we would if we didn't get a manager in, but I just never ever saw us going down, to be honest. And I really do think we're going to like probably 16th. I reckon. I don't know. We just see. I don't know. There's just. maybe I'm just being naive, but I don't believe we're going to go.
Not.
I
We're
think,
not.
yeah.
All it needed, right? And I've got a tweet. I've got a tweet bookmarked in my thing. No, genuinely, I've got a tweet bookmarked that says, right, this turns around instantly with another man leading the ship. And the amount of hate and that in them comments, that I've got weird, because I thought, do I go after Southampton? And I went, nah, it's only one win, Joe. Calm down.
Right.
Couple more wins, and that's coming out. And I'll say, I fucking told you so. Because for me, Jesse was the one, Chris, that was holding us back. And now look, and how are you feeling, Chris? Am I getting carried away? Do you think we'll be all right?
Mate, you're always getting carried away, aren't you? You're either depths of depression or riding the height.
Bipolar. That's what someone called me. This is a bipolar channel. That's what this is.
I've been accused of similar. I know what I can get like as well, but I'm more confident that we're going to stay up now than I was. I can see the plan, having got form in this kind of thing. Everything points to us having a good end to the season. And I'd genuinely be really disappointed in the club if we finish 16th, a few points away from the drop zone, and then the club ship him out. Again, I think that's just awful. But I also think they might not get the option to do that, because I think where this club needs most change is at the very top and in how it's run as a football club. And I'm not throwing shade at anyone because they've come in and done a job. They've got us back to the Premier League, but there's been plenty of mistakes made. And as I said a couple of weeks ago, and because they've brought Javi in, that's more a panic signing than anything. There was no plan to it. It was that all their targets wouldn't come. They all of a sudden then back Scoobs because we managed to get up for a couple of games against Man United. Then we're flat on our backside for Everton. So they just went out and went, there's got to be someone out there who can take this job. And ended up with Javi. So there's other changes that need to be made at this club. But if he keeps us up, I quite like the style I think that we're going to see from the first signs that we saw yesterday. So if he keeps us up, let him have a go next season.
Because who's to say that anybody else would have done a better job, even if they'd come in, like Areola or Slot? You know what I mean?
Yeah. If he can,
and he's experienced doing this.
Players, great.
Yeah.
I mean, none of those managers wanted to come in mid-season because they say it takes 6, 7, 8 weeks of pre-season to get their styles in place and how they want it to run, and they don't want to have a relegation in their city, which is fine and understandable. Garcia's got a tendency of coming into clubs midway through a season and doing a job, and great, he's done it. He took the job. Also, I'll point out, he wasn't a Victor Orta or Radrazani just decision. It was a 49ers decision. The 49ers weren't happy with this, and after the Everton game, they flew in to Leeds. They were the ones that made this. Yeah.
Why Parag's there at the minute, isn't it?
Gotta watch the channel, Joe. This is breaking news on Wednesday, man. You gotta
Sorry, I didn't. Mate, do you know what I normally do, right? But I'm working now 9 to 5. I'm back in the grind, so I don't have time.
I should be working.
Apparently,
they came in within 48 hours of. So after the Everton game, they made a decision that they wanted a manager until the end of the season, but it with experience. They were the ones that reached out. They were the ones that made the decision that leads to put a manager in place, and they were the ones apparently that were blown away by his presentation on the Everton game and on Southampton versus Chelsea. And he told them how he would beat Southampton after watching Southampton against Chelsea. By the time he'd gotten into Leeds, he had watched all of Southampton's games this season. Does that sound familiar to you, to anybody else we've had here in the past? Yeah. Talk about doing your work and being prepped and like coming in and saying, I know how to beat these.
He's so likable as well.
Oh, God, he's so likable.
And again, it's that thing about, people were saying yesterday about the pressure. The interviews were all trying to go about the atmosphere and the pressure and the atmosphere and the pressure. He just was like, just game of football. Like,
he's really humble as well, isn't he? Humble. None of this.
That. No.
Whereas Jesse was like all butter. Sorry.
I'm split on it because there was elements of Jesse that made me like Jesse. I like the openness. I like the peeking behind. For my other thing that I do with football, I liked having a little peek behind the curtain of what was going on, and I thought he gave a lot of information. He said a lot of crap as well.
Right. Let me ask you this then. Are you using some of what Jesse was doing on your team that you trained?
No, I use an awful lot what Bielsa did on my team.
Well, there you go then. There you go. That's your answer.
There was elements that I thought 15-0. Yeah. Well, that hasn't happened yet, thank God. No, but I thought he was an affable kind of guy. I thought he was a nice bloke, and I did. And I look, I have no problem putting my hand up and saying I got it wrong, and I did. I got it wrong, but there was bits about it. Every now and then I'd get conned because something would happen in the game, and I'd go.
There.
I love that. Yes.
Sorry. I had to put it in when you said you got it wrong.
I love that.
Dude, I get things wrong on a regular basis, and I always say I'm wrong. I have no problem saying I'm wrong. I said something to channel during the week where I was like, got something right for once. So, yeah, look, I did. Like, there was moments in games where I watched the game, I thought, that wasn't bad. If they could do that more regularly, maybe there is something here, you know. And I did get sucked into that. And I did get sucked into thinking that maybe we just weren't good enough. The players,
but he would never admit he'd made.
No, he wouldn't.
You know what I mean? That's what.
I mean, I saw his faults. I did see his faults as well. And we all said after the January transfer window, you've been backed. And myself and Michael on my channel, we did Michael and Alex from the American Leeds podcast. We did the a deadline day stream. And we all said the same thing at the end of the podcast. There's no more excuses now. It's over to you, Jesse. And then the following game, he goes and loses to Forest. And then straight away, I said, that's it. That's it. There are no more excuses. That is it now.
Yeah. And it's not about winning. It's not about the results. It's about the performance. But
it isn't about the results until it is about the results. And unfortunately, as I said, Jesse ran out of road. Ran out of road. Yeah. What I like about Gracia is it's a polar opposite. It's back to kind of more similar to Bielsa. It's giving the players the credit for what's gone on. It's saying the players did well. The team did this. The team did that. He uses we a lot instead of I, and they're huge changes.
His players, he said. My players, he said.
But that's owner. That's like we're in this together. That's us.
Yeah. He's also got. I like that. He's also got a massive level of confidence because we saw other managers said no to the job due to the length of the contract and all that sort of thing.
He said, didn't he, I don't even bother about that, didn't he? He said, I don't even want to know about that.
And he's accepted a flexible contract for a team who were in the relegation zone.
Back himself.
So he's either getting a relegation on his CV, he's going to be sacked at the end of the season and have to go and find another job. But he's got the confidence as well as the humility. There's a difference between confidence and arrogance, and he has confidence. And he's come into this job thinking, all right, let's go and sort it out. Let's go win games of football. Jesse came in and was like, oh, it's about managing stress. It's about doing this. It's about doing that.
He's creating the stress.
If the players know what they're doing on the pitch, that stress won't be there because they know that they've already seen it's got them a result. So now it's like, well, we trust this guy already. He's got us the first result. Let's actually learn his system, learn the way we play. And you just go out and win football matches that way. So impressed with his confidence over arrogance.
But he doesn't have a plan A, and that's it. He has several plans for several months. Also, there's loads of people asking in chat. Yeah, I do murder ball at my team, and they hate it. I haven't done it with the new team that I'm at just yet, but that's coming. We're only finishing for.
Can I come be a coach, please?
Of course you can.
I'd love to be a coach.
Come on for a week. That'd be deadly. That'd be great, man.
I just come on, boys.
I've done it with. I did it with a team about 2 years ago, and what I will say about murder ball, it works. It really works. I did it with a team a couple of years ago. We won a cup and got a promotion on the back of just being fitter than everybody. It does work. So, but yeah, I like the fact that Gracia is open to change, and he even said it himself. It depends on what we're facing. Depends on what players we have available. We'll look. He even said after the press conference, we got a result today, but we'll look at different formations now.
Yeah.
So you know, there's scope there, which is great.
Yeah, and I think as well, like you were just touching on the like I and we and my players, etc. Like one of the big things like that really got to me actually was seeing Jesse on the sideline that time when he went, they're scared, and I was like, fucking, what are you doing, man? You're saying that to the rest of your players who are on the bloody bench and that, and the fans can see it and all that, and I was just like, this isn't normal. Like, you don't do that stuff. But anyway, we're on him again, man. Honestly, I have nightmares about this guy. I'm telling you.
Me too.
Yes, I'm sorry, Joe. I won't mention his name again.
And dreams about Jack Grealish, eh?
There you go, Max. Are we going to be all right, buddy? Are we staying up?
Yeah, I genuinely think it hinged on that game. I think if before the game, I was like, oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Then I listened to the Square Ball and they were like, it's terrible. Like, this is the end of the world. We're going to go down. And then before, like, as I was driving to Ellen Road, so I was like, oh my God. When we've won the game, I'm like, right, we're staying up now. I looked at the table. Yeah. We're out the relegation zone. With one win, we're out the relegation zone. The panic is subsided a little bit. You got, sorry?
Yeah. 3 points off mid-table.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, I then listened to the Man City Bournemouth game thinking, oh, if they win, they'll go above us. They got smashed. I was like, right, perfect weekend apart from Man United winning the Carabao Cup. Yeah. Perfect weekend. Let's go again and get some confidence in Tuesday in the FA Cup, and I think we'll be fine. I mean, even if we don't beat Chelsea, I think we can get a draw against them. We've got that in the locker definitely.
I agree.
The way that they're playing,
beat them, Max. I think we beat Chelsea if they don't sack Potter. They're in absolute disarray. Could we be the club that gets 2 Chelsea managers in one season this Saturday?
That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
They're on 2 defeats on the bounce and 5 games without a win. So it either turns around against Leeds.
You forget that we are the Leeds United factor. Like if that look for them changes at any time, it will be against us.
It's that moment when you're watching the game where the commentator says, "This guy coming on hasn't scored in 15 years."
Like, do you know what though? Listen as well. Arsenal are at home against Everton midweek, and Liverpool are at home against Wolves midweek. Them 2 teams
dragged into down
there. Yeah, exactly.
Palace are dropping like a stone.
Yeah, I was talking to Locks, who's a Leicester fan, and he was giving it big licks after they beat Spurs, and he was saying, we're going to get top 10. Obviously, they get beat next 2. I messaged him this morning, and I went, for a team that's getting top 10, you're only 2 points away from us, and we've only won once this year. Do you know what I mean? So it's all jam-packed down there. I'm just going to share this.
Forest are going to drop back in as well. I think you, Joe, that tweeted about that, and with the run of games they've got coming up, they could easily get a few spankings now and be on their arses.
This is 538, which uses data like offensive goals, predicted goals conceded, etc. And this changes after every game week. And I like to keep a look at it. And they did say prior to last weekend that Leeds United, even after losing against Everton, would just stay up, and Everton would drop down. Obviously, after this weekend's results, they see us, finishing ahead of Forest. So I don't think it'll be too far away from that, to be honest. Yeah, and like I say, if we beat Chelsea, that'll change again. So I'll be interested to see what it's like after Wednesday when Wolves and Everton play. But I think we're going to be all right, and I think the general opinion is we will.
Have a look at April's fixtures.
Yes, I know this.
That's the month. There are so many fixtures that are winnable in April. April will either keep us up comfortably or put us down comfortably. I think April is the month. You've got so many teams that are in around us in that month that are beatable. There's maybe, I think, Liverpool in the middle of that. That's probably the only top 10 team that are in there. Outside of that, Fulham are in their top 6, but I don't look at Fulham as top 16. But yeah, I think they're in there as well. And I think there's a lot of winnable games in that. But it's again, just to be balanced. Yesterday was 1 win. It's 1 win. We got to repeat that. We got to do it again. And I agree with what Kate said. If we get a point against Chelsea, I think it's a really good result. Taking 4 points off Chelsea in a season is a good season.
Yeah. Definitely is. It definitely is. We've been going over an hour, so we will need to wrap this up because we've all got lives. My words, Palace are in trouble, says Gary Paul. I hope you're right. Listen, folks, we have 839 people watching. I've just had a look. Leeds Birds Rants, Kate's channel's on 744 subscribers. So let's make up that difference to 1,000 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, go on over, subscribe to a channel. Great debut, Kate. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Make sure you follow Chris over on All Leeds TV when he's doing his bits. We've got Joe over at the Leeds United View and Max over at Leeds Lately. Do we have any subscriber milestones? I'm just saying that because I hit 18K today, if you're not aware.
It's close to 6,000. This close to 6,000.
Right. I'm this close to 5,000.
We're on the road to 30. Not bragging around.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
Can't take too much credit for that, like. But
yeah. So please, if you haven't already, go sub to everyone else's channels as well as Luke at Auto Know Better and of course Rocco at Leeds That, who's just over in Madrid. Promoting his new book that he's just finished on Bielsa. So yeah, big up to him. I genuinely didn't know if no one follows Leeds That, right? Make sure you do it. It's a Leeds podcast. It's in the description. But just to give you it, I just want to leave you with this story because it blew my socks off, right? So Rocco completed his first draft of his Bielsa book. and he posted it to Marcelo Bielsa. I think he just put on the letter, was it Marcelo Bielsa Weatherby? Was that right, Joe? Something like that.
That's what he said.
And there's a Toronto dress on the back of it.
Exactly, and it found its way to Bielsa anyway. And then one morning, he sat there. The door goes. He opens up the door, and Marcelo Bielsa had gone to his house.
No way!
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Just to thank him for writing the book. Yeah, like it's amazing. So
what do you say at that moment?
Like,
you open the door, you're like,
My God, you don't. You just hug him.
Yeah. I would have cried.
Joe would have just broken down on the spot.
Yeah, no, serious. I would have. That'd have been it. How's it going? Is everything all right, John? Going, I can't speak. Like, that's what it would be.
I'd have been dead calm and just gone, can we stop with the man marking, please, mate?
I think it's one of those moments where you open the door, you see him, and you go,
nah.
And you close the door again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, it's still him.
Like a cartoon, yeah.
It's insane. It is insane. So the fact that he did that, what a man. No other manager behaves like that guy. He's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, I love him.
And then the way we got rid, just dreadful.
Oh, tell me about it, man.
I had my memory come up with my Facebook memories this week, and it was the picture of Marcelo Bielsa, and all I put above it was, he deserved way much better than this.
Yeah.
I cried live on YouTube. That's how
I was.
I thought
it was a terrible mistake.
I started reading it and went, I can't believe it, to be honest. But it is what it is, anyway. And everyone wonders why I find it hard to get over him. But I think Javi Gracia is going to help me. Listen, everyone.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Chris, is he the man after the man? After the man?
I'm very confident. I've got confidence he could be the man after the man, mate. Yes, I'd love to see it. Good signs. Good signs. On and off the pitch, I think, as people had said earlier, just the way he comes across, humble, wants it to be about the team, etc. Yeah, there's
I think he's there for the right reasons, isn't he? He's taken the job for the right reasons. That's what I think. Yeah, for sure.
And there is little glimmers of Marcelo in there, in the way he went about things and the way he is off the pitch. So let's hope so, Joe. Let's hope he's the man after the man.
Look,
good enough for me, Chris.
Honestly, if we had enough, listen, Tony O'Shea, if we had enough time, I'd a bit, but I'm getting off, mate. But honestly, if we had enough time, I'd have gave you both barrels, but I can't be asked. So we'll leave it. Yeah, we're going to leave you out with this, actually. Peace out, folks. Hang on, let's see if I can time it right. You ready?